Hi guys, it is Simon here, and today we are having a very great guest, Callum Fraser from Glenfarclas. And as you see at the background, a lovely still at the distillery. So the weather in Scotland looks fine. How are you, Callum, today?
I'm good. Lovely to meet you all.
Lovely. I will take few minutes of your time. Hopefully, you and the company of Glenfarclas will be a part of the Whiskey Life Warsaw. We cannot wait for the great tasting that we are having, the tasting through decades, as we are having it every single year. But before we have it, can you tell us a little bit more, like a little bit more about yourself in general? So we know that you are a manager, but what is your favorite one? What is your favorite whiskey amongst the core range?
Oh, amongst Glenfarclas, it used to be 21-year-olds, but unfortunately we don't do 21-year-olds now. We're going to bring it back in about 3 or 4 years. But right now my go-to whiskey is a 12-year-old, which I think is just absolutely stunning. And it brings through all the character of Glenfarclas. You've got that nice toffee note. You've got the fruitiness from the fermentation. It's a lovely dram. So my go-to right now is 12-year-old Glenfarclas.
Okay. And when you were here in Glenfarclas, you have tried plenty of those casks. And which one was in your head for till today? So what was the best thing you have ever tried
The,
in Glenfarclas?
the There's two that spring to mind, although they're all lovely. And when you come to Glenfarclas, you can play with casks from 1953 all the way to current. So it's quite unusual. But my favourite one is a 1972 sherry butt that's sitting in warehouse number one. It is just absolutely stunning. Uh,
Okay.
Followed close by the 1968 one is lovely as well, but I think more so because it's my birth year. So it's a special year for me, but 1972 is certainly very special.
Okay, I remember when we are having like 2 years back, we had this tasting through decades, and we have tasted 1953 there. But the one that I remember was 1973 Fort Phil Butt, which was
Ah, yes.
the greatest far class I have ever had. So I'm just curious, how is it this 1970 through 72, as you mentioned? So
You know,
good.
1972 is just absolutely why we make whiskey. Whoever distilled and managed the place then just made an absolutely fantastic dram. The whiskey that's in that cask is unbelievable. And I always tell people, if people taste 2024 in 50 years' time and say, that's the best whiskey I've ever tasted, then I've got my job right as well. So somebody in 1972, they got their job right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that answer. But regarding the in general the Glenfarclas, what do you think that Glenfarclas is better or different than any other Scottish single malt whiskey? What sets you apart from any other single malts?
Well, on a production level, the direct firing makes a massive difference to what we do. Every still is direct fired here, which gives us a totally unique flavour profile. We're still making whiskey the traditional way with fat underneath the stills, so that's the major difference with Glenfarclas. The other major difference with Glenfarclas is actually the people and the fact that we're the oldest family-run Scottish distillery left. Mr. Grant is at work every day. Mrs. Grant comes down to see us. We have 36 employees and we're all made to feel part of the family, which I think that reflects in the product. When you're made to feel part of the family, that's important.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And regarding the selection, barrel selection process, how it's done in Glenfarclas. I
So,
saw it on the web page that really George is really going to Harris and he's picking it by himself. Is it really a true? Can you say it from your end?
what actually to selecting barrels that my colleague and I will select all the family casks. And when we ask for the core range, Douglas and I will also select these. And what we'll do is marry them together in a large vat, and then we will taste the whiskey, we will nose it, and we will colour check it. And then we will see if it needs more first fill, second or third fill casks. So it's actually Douglas and myself with whiskey here at Glenfarclas.
Okay, and how often do you check the maturity of your whiskies, and what criteria are you using in order to check whether it is fine, it is going well?
Yes, one thing we need to do is make sure under strength. So with us having so much old whiskey, we don't want it going below 40%. So we check some of the older whiskies every year, and we're always aware of what's at, which means get to like 42, 43%, we will then decide it needs bottled, because we don't want it going below 40%. So that's quite unique as well. But we're having so much old whiskey, that's something that we actually do, is check it quite often.
Okay, and you are the family company, really, and you are doing it in a historical way every single time. The production process is not changing that much. But what are the distillery plans for the future? Any novelties, something new, something different thanks to the market change, or you are going in the same direction?
You know, again, being family owned, we're very traditional in everything we do. And we don't like changing things. You know, Glenfarclas is quite successful being what it is. And what it is a family-run distillery to make traditional Scotch whisky. That's the way we want it to remain. So we need people recognise what we do. We also fear that if it's not broken, why fix it? So we don't play with lots of fancy casks. We do fill the odd, like a lot port pipes and things, but we don't finish our whisky. So our whisky is solely matured in one type of cask. So we're not a company who will get a port pipe and put our whisky in for 6 months and then bottle it. If it goes in a port pipe, it will be the way we feel it should be.
Yeah, I really like that idea of not finishing the whiskey in general. So this is also like my personal preference. But so in general, you are not doing any innovation techniques. You are using the same methods, and you are doing slightly the same thing every single year, because you said, well, if it's working, why to try to fix it? Right?
Yes, and Mr. Grant always said, when I came here, Mr. Grant always said, don't change the product. The product's successful. It's been successful for 100, 190 years. Don't change it. So that's what we won't do, is ever change it.
Lovely. In general, also, the Glenfarclas has a rich history, but how you see the future of the distillery? Are you going to change, or you're going to change your portfolio? Any like changes plans in the upcoming future?
If you mean like in the things, not really. The one thing, big thing we're doing in the future is bringing out a 70-year-old whiskey, which is the first time in our history we've done that. And I think one or two people will be quite surprised by the 70-year-old and what we're going to do with it. But I won't reveal too much about it. All I'll say is the quality of the liquid will speak for itself. The packaging doesn't have to, is what I'll say. But core range is going to be pretty steady. Well, like every industry, right, every whiskey company right now, sales are back a little bit. That happens every 8 to 10 years. Scotland's back, then they pick back up. But no, one thing that we will always do, though, is an age statement on our whiskey. So a lot of people think it's innovative to take an age statement on our whiskey. We won't. We have vowed that we will always have age statements on our whiskey. So you'll know if you're drinking a 12-year-old or a 50-year-old or a 35-year-old. We're never taking that away.
Mm-hmm. And looking at the current trends on our whiskey market, have you noticed any trends that you would like to follow from your end?
I think that's a question you should ask other whisky producers and ask them if they would like to follow Glenfarclas, because we don't follow anybody. It's up to them to follow us.
I really like that idea that you are the leader and other are following you. Very nice answer to that question. So, uh, few last questions, but um, in you are like a family company from generations. Do you have any family traditions that they are going down, they are passed down to the from generation to generation that during the maturation process or during like running the distillery or any other points?
No, well, speaking, we're keeping the direct firing, which is important. We did take that away in 1983, and the spirit character changed. So Mr. Grant said, "No, we're back to direct firing," and that's important to us. We're always doing direct firing, and that will continue. That gives us a massive spirit quality that we like, and that lovely toffee caramel that we get. The family are very traditional in everything we're doing. Our warehousing's the same. It's all dunnage warehousing. We don't palletize stuff. We don't stack casks 7 and 8 high. So it's all really traditional stuff.
Great. And can you share with us any interesting anecdotes regarding the Glenfarclas distillery? Something that nobody knows or not many people know about?
Well, you see, that's if not many people know, then I would. But no, the main thing about Glenfarclas is we're family owned, we're family run. Mrs. Grant comes to work 7 days a week. Mrs. Grant's involved and comes to check everybody and see the place is going well. That's the most important thing about Glenfarclas. There's no secret to our success because we're family owned. That is the biggest secret we've got to how successful we are. And I'm often asked the question, I mean, there's 53 distilleries about us in Scotland and Speyside. And I'm often asked, is there lots of competition between you distillers? And it's quite an easy answer. There is no competition between us distillers because everybody wants to be as good as what Glenfarclas is.
Yeah. Okay, I really like this answer. I really like this answer. So I won't taking much of your time. I really appreciate time spending with us.
You're fine.
Hopefully you will join us in Warsaw for the Whiskey Life Warsaw. Every single time there is Ian with us.
No, I'm coming to Whisky Live Warsaw this year, and it'll be a pleasure to meet all you guys out there and come up to the Glenfarclas stand and say hello. I do have a master class on the Saturday afternoon, which has got, I think, 6 or 7 different whiskies in it. That's at 2:30, I think, on the Saturday. But I'll be in Warsaw on the Thursday night, and I'll be at Whisky Live on the Friday, Saturday, and then back home Sunday. So yeah, please come up and say hello.
Lovely. So I'll come to say hello on Friday, definitely. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and have fun with great Scottish weather.
No, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you all in a couple of weeks' time in Warsaw.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers.